Hi, I'm Mindy Peters, the Solutions Manager for SPI, and in this video about the Circle platform, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating custom invitation links. Now, what are those and why would you want to use them? A custom invitation link is really great when you have a community, especially a private Circle community, and you want to give your members access to some spaces, but not all of the spaces. Let me show you an example here, and then I'll show you how to make those links. So what you see here is the SPI Academy, and this is our community for anybody who has signed up for a course through SPI. Side note, you're welcome to join this community too if you join the free Build Your Own Brand course. The link is below. So when you join our community here, every student gets access to the spaces under the Academy space group. This is all information that is useful to everybody who is a member of the community. We're not going to pay too much attention to that section as much as we are the course community space group here. Now you can see that I have a space for each one of my courses. We have 7 courses, and so we've set up a space group for each of the courses, and it's a place where students of those courses can connect with one another, ask each other questions, and talk about the curriculum and things related to the curriculum. The conversations in there are really appropriate for people who have taken that course, but they're not going to be appropriate for someone who has not taken that course, who's maybe taken a different course. So for example, we have 2 courses on podcasting at SPI. We have Power Up Podcasting, which is the beginner level course, and we have Amped Up Podcasting, which is the advanced level course. So for example, if a student in the Amped Up Podcasting space group asks a specific question and is looking for help on their podcast, we want to make sure that the people who are answering that question are also sort of operating at the same level. And if members of the Power Up Podcasting community were able to come in and give feedback, some of that feedback might be relevant, but some of that feedback might be a little underinformed. So we have a real use case here for creating a space where only members of a particular course can access that conversation. So how do you set that up in a way that's automatic so that you don't have to manually add each student when they join and go through and pick out all of the spaces they should have access to and shouldn't have access to? There's a couple of ways you could do that. One way that we won't go into here, you could use a Zapier automation that just when somebody enrolls in Amped Up Podcasting, they receive an invitation and are automatically added to the space groups. That's one way of doing it. But what if you don't have Zapier set up? Here's how you can use custom invitation links to handle that process. Now, the key to making this strategy work is that the spaces that you want to restrict access to need to be private. Let me show you the settings for these individual spaces here. The specific setting that we are looking at is down here. Make this a private space. Let's look at this box a little more closely. You need to flip on the switch to make this a private space, and then you have 2 options. You can show that space to people who are not members of it so that they can see that it exists, or you can hide that space from non-members of the group. We did not flip the switch on hide space, so that means that anyone who is in the Academy can see that the 123 affiliate marketing space exists, but they can't access it unless they are a member. Because they can see that, then we have the option here to edit the lock page. So this is the message that someone who is not a member of that specific space will see if they try to access it. And we've just put a little message in here that tells people how to get access to it. We could have put a call to action here. I guess in this case, maybe the call to action might have been to enroll in the course. You can customize that to your purposes. So before you start setting up those custom invitation links, you'll first just want to make sure that you lock down those individual spaces so that only the people you've given access to them can get into them. Now, throughout this video, I'm using my Teachable School as an example, but don't let that limit your imagination. This process works for a variety of different use cases. Maybe you're selling multiple products on a different platform, or maybe you've created a community for your patrons on Patreon and you have different tiers to your Patreon community. this example could work in that scenario too. So we're in our Circle community and we are not going to go to the settings, which is where I spent way too long looking for this feature until our community manager, Known, put me on the right track. Way too long looking for it. We are gonna go to Members. Click on Members. This feature lives in the left-hand sidebar here under Invitation Links. Click on that. Now here is where you can create custom invitation links. And you can see here, I've just recently set up, so most of them haven't been used yet, invitation links for each of my courses. And when someone joins by clicking on that link, they automatically get added to exactly the right spaces and space groups for that particular course. Let's take a look at this 1-2-3 affiliate marketing example. I'll click right here to edit. So the link itself is pretty simple. First of all, you just give it a name, and that's for your own purposes. Your members are never going to see that name. Circle will generate a link, and here is where you customize the spaces that they have access to. So as a reminder, a space group is a collection of individual spaces. The way you know the difference between a space group and a space, with a space group, there's a caret next to it, and if you do this, it collapses the whole group. So that's a group. And then this individual bit is a space. So for 1-2-3 affiliate marketing, I want them to belong to the entire Academy space group, but only the 1-2-3 affiliate marketing space. And if you look at this link, you can see under space groups, we have Academy, and under spaces, we have 1-2-3 affiliate marketing. And if you needed to add another, you would just click the plus sign. And this is where you can search for all of your spaces, or here, search for all of your space groups. When you're done, just be sure to hit Save Changes. So from this screen, when you want to make a new one, you just hit Create Invitation Link, and that will walk you through the process. You put in your name, you add in your spaces, you add in your space groups, you hit Create. Once you've done that, to get the link, just hit Copy. Now, how might you use that link? Let me show you where we're using these links. So here's how we're using that invitation link over in Teachable. For each of our courses, in our welcome section, we've created a lesson called Student Community. And if you click on that, first you'll see a video walkthrough of us just explaining the Academy and how it works. But then right underneath it, we have both a button and we have hyperlinked text. They have the same invitation link here. So when the user clicks on either of those, if they're already a member of the SPI Academy, our Circle community, they'll have those space groups and spaces added into their access. And if they're not already a member, they'll be prompted to create an account. What happens if you set up a custom invitation link and people are getting access to more spaces or space groups than you thought you had configured? This happened to us. It took us a little while to troubleshoot the problem. I want to show you how to fix it for yourself. So here's my list of custom invitation links, and specifically the one that was causing problems for us was our BYOB invitation link. So let's take a look at that. So you can see that when somebody clicks on this invitation link, they get access to the SPI Academy, and when they do, they get access to 3 spaces: the Student Center, Academy Announcements, and Build Your Own Brand. Let me show you what this looks like on the front end. So here I am on the front end of the SPI Academy, and the 3 spaces that were referenced by that invitation link fall into 2 different space groups. 2 of them are in the Academy, and then 1 of them is in Course Communities. The one that's in Course Communities, the Build Your Own Brand space, that was working out just fine, no problem. So the other 2 spaces were the Student Center and Academy Announcements. So when somebody joined through that custom invitation link, from this space group, they were only supposed to get access to the Student Center and Academy Announcements, but for some reason, they were getting access to everything in this space group. So the Say Hello, Water Cooler, Resources, Wellness Wednesday, they were getting access to all of those, and that wasn't what we had intended. But when we went back and looked at our invitation link, it looked like everything was set up properly, and it is. So that means there was some other setting in our community that was inviting them into the rest of that space group. Here's where to go to look if this is happening to you, because this took us a little while to figure out. The first place I went to try to figure this out was in the general settings. So that was clicking on the settings icon up here, which brings us to this page, and looking in general. And at the bottom of general, we have add all new members to these default spaces. This is an optional setting. And this is where I expected maybe those other spaces would be listed, but when I look here, they're not there. So that's the first place you can come if you're experiencing this problem with custom invitation links, is to come and look in your general settings. It wasn't the case for us. Okay, so what was causing the problem? It turned out that it was a setting on the space group itself. So here I am in the Academy space group. I'm going to click on this ... here and hit Edit Space Group. So down at the bottom, it turns out these switches were what was causing the problem. And specifically, it was this second setting under Members. Automatically add members to this group when they join a space inside it. So we were adding people to the Student Center and to Academy announcements, which are spaces inside of the Academy space group. Because the switch was on, it was automatically adding them to every single space inside of the space group, which was not what we intended. So I've turned that switch off, and then the other switch that I am turning off here is this automatically add members to new spaces within the group. And so what this says is if we ever come in and add another space inside of this space group, if this switch is on, everybody who's already in the space group will get added to that group. Now, whether or not we would want to keep this setting on for us in this specific instance, I could go either way, but specifically, this is what was causing our problem, and I wanted you to know about it in case you're having the same problem too. The other place, other than custom invitation links, where you might be running into a similar problem is if you have this switch on and you're using a Zapier Zap to add people into an individual space. If you have that turned on, it will also make them a member of the space group. That's not necessarily bad, it's just good to know about that perhaps unintended consequence. So to recap, if you're using custom invitation links and you want to add people into only an individual space within a space group, before you set up that custom invitation link, just come in and check your space group settings to make sure that this switch is off. We are big fans of Circle here at SPI. We use it both to run our SPI Academy community as well as our paid SPI Pro community. If you are an online entrepreneur who is very focused on community building, SPI Pro might be right for you. Check the link below to learn more and fill out an application to join the community.